All right, Vascular Access 365 live at the 3M Regional Summit, and we have a really special guest today. This is actually unbelievable that we got Dr. Phyllis Quinlan to speak to us. She's the president of MFW Consultants. She speaks nationally, internationally. She has an extensive history in nursing, and we're gonna find out how she got here, what drives her passion, and where she wants to go on from this. So, hi, Doctor. Hi. How are you?
I'm fine.
It's such an honor. We've had 2 conferences together, and I just haven't gotten to really speak to you.
We've had 3 conferences.
3
together.
now.
Right.
Okay. You started out, you went to college.
I started out and went to college, and I got a degree in psych and sociology and became a social worker and worked for a short period of time as a psychiatric social worker. And then really kind of stepped back when I was considering a master's degree and really felt that the nurses had just a little edge on being that much more therapeutic. So I went back to nursing school, got a baccalaureate in nursing with the whole idea of becoming the world's greatest psychiatric nurse. Well, I got rotated through a critical care, or a CCU, and an ICU and the emergency department, and that was the end of that. So the majority of my clinical career is in critical care emergency trauma.
In New York City, correct?
In the greater New York area. So I've worked throughout all 5 boroughs of Manhattan and out on Long Island as well. A little bit up in Westchester and out in Staten Island. So I've been all over.
Okay, so how does somebody go from a hardened, tough ER nurse mentality to where you are now?
To the Zen?
Yeah. How did you make that transition, and where did you find it?
Transition. So I am a product of the 60s and 70s. Okay, so I was in the women's movement and a little bit about protesting Vietnam, and there was a Buddhist monk who came out during the Vietnam War, and the monk's name was NHATHANH. Very confused. I was 15, I was 16, and you know, Buddhist monks in Thailand were setting themselves on fire to protest the war, and I said to myself, that can't be right, that just can't be right. And then he came out and said, they are so wrong, and that you don't fight violence with violence, you fight violence with love. And I started listening to his Buddhist teachings, and the man changed my life, the direction of my life. So at the age of 15 or 16, I started to embrace the Buddhist philosophy of life. Buddhism is not a religion, it's a philosophy. And I started really leaning into more Zen ways of approaching my life, and just found myself really a lot more comfortable in my own skin. But of course I had an Irish Catholic mother, so I had to be a closet Buddhist. And it wasn't until after I got married and I was an adult and on my own that I actually could just say, so, you know, despite my Irish Catholic heritage, I am embracing this Buddhist philosophy and trying to find the middle way in life and the way of non-violence and loving kindness.
So how does Buddhism join with nursing?
So the interesting thing, you know, I put up with a lot with my family poking fun at me because I was new wave and a little bit hippie, and you know, I studied Eastern philosophies. I became a feng shui master. I was doing Reiki, and you know, it was a little bit out of the conventional mainstream way of doing things. And then all of a sudden, we started getting hit with issues about wellness, and issues about compassion fatigue, and issues about burnout, and issues about losing the joy of what we do and who we are as professional caregivers. And I found a synchronicity between what I had been believing and practicing all these years and what was actually needed in healthcare right now for my beloved profession. So I started talking about and writing about the joy of rediscovering the joy of being a professional caregiver or nurse. I mean,
does this start in, or should this start in nursing school?
It really should. And it needs to start now, because we're bridging the gap between people who are seeking nursing as a second career, who are definitely 20 years younger than me, but seeking a new direction in their profession, but still don't know how to do good self-care and put themselves first. The piece where it may not be needed in the curriculum, it may it may be needed to raise awareness in the curriculum, but it may be not needed to be a full program in the future, is because millennials get it. And you know, those of us who have been practicing 20 and 30 years are pushing back on millennials because, you know, they don't have the same work ethic. Well, I beg to differ. They have a great work ethic. They just work differently. Not right or wrong, differently. And they talk about work-life integration, and they are doing everything that I am trying to promote. And it's so funny that many of us are misinterpreting that as a lack of commitment, because they are indeed trying to put their own oxygen on first.
So this is huge. Can you explain this to us? Because what's happening now is a new generation is coming into nursing.
Yeah.
And the old generation is saying they're lazy, they want everything right away, they don't want to have to earn anything, they don't want to have to go through the stuff that we went through. But you're saying, no, this is what you're preaching is a better lifestyle.
Well, I'm preaching part of it, okay? So I do have an issue with the whole philosophy of regardless if you win or lose, everybody gets a trophy. That is not building endurance or coping skills. So, you know, if a millennial does come into the workplace and is expecting everything now, because that's what they've been expected to receive, well, there's going to be a gap, and we as professionals have to try to close that gap with our colleagues to right-set some expectations. They may not have the same symptoms of burnout that my generation has based on self-sacrifice. They may have the symptoms of burnout based on disappointment, that things aren't working as fast as they are, but they're still at risk for burnout, not necessarily compassion fatigue. It's going to be different for them. So the curricular in school, first of all, yes, we should promote good self-care first. But then we're going to have to shift the dynamics to realistic expectations and a timeline so that these new nurses who are gifted and passionate and have such a sense of social justice are able to find their place of comfort within a culture that they are absolutely destined to change, but will have to realize that they are the bridge generation. And that makes them pioneers, and that is difficult work. Pioneer work is difficult work.
Yeah, this is important, and I think what they need to know is how privileged they are. What did you go through when you started, from you starting nursing to where you are today? What did you experience? What kind of shell did you have to build to push forward to get us to a point where we can all just practice nursing and be free to, you know, explore?
Right. So
because you talk about that in your talks.
I do, and you know, I came out of college in 1975 with my degree in psychology and sociology as a psychiatric social worker. I went right back in, literally, the very next semester to pick up nursing, and then I graduated in nursing in 1978. This was a time that very coincided with the women's movement. So, you know, when you're trying to blaze a trail, and again, pioneer work is not easy work. You sacrifice a lot. And really what happened with the nursing leadership at that point, because nursing, the development of the profession of nursing so coincided with the women's movement, that many of us sacrificed a lot of our feminine nature, not femininity, but feminine nature, to sit in a room with old white men and say, no, we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore, and this is what we do, and this is what we offer, and this is what we can offer in the future. And it took a lot of us, that particular generation, my particular generation of nurses, to say that we need to have one entry level, which is a baccalaureate degree. We need to talk about board certification in specialties. We need to talk about master's prepared nurses, and then we need to talk about advanced practice nurses, and then we need to have some doctorate prepared nurses in order to promote the profession in the future. This was tough work. And a lot of us came across as tough old broads and sour old women and whatever. You know what? I'll own it. I'll own it. We got there. That was the important thing. And we got there at great self-sacrifice. The thing I try to promote now is the difference between those transactional leadership qualities, which were necessary at the time, are not what we need in the 21st century to go forward. Now we need to honor what we did and how we did it, and now re-embrace that part of our feminine energy to allow us to be more of a communicator, a collaborator, and a co-creator, and nurture, so that we can get back into the more tender side of ourselves, and then really use that tenderness to embrace transformational leadership qualities to take this generation of nursing into the 21st century.
Okay, can we talk about something a little controversial?
Yep.
Okay. So, you had huge obstacles when you started nursing, primarily a female field. Okay? So now you're looking at my generation, and here I am making all of these breakthroughs.
As a man.
I have an advantage or a different type of route that I get to go through as a male than you got to go through as a female, and what are your feelings about that?
So I think there is something that you and I have in common that we're going to have to put on the table and offer up for discussion, and that has to do with white privilege. Regardless of the fact that you're a man and I'm a woman, we have both benefited from white privilege. And it's now a time to put that discussion in the front, and again, not be afraid of the pushback, because it's not like we created the white privilege, we just happen to be the benefits of it. But to, in some ways, honor it, understand it, and then champion the fact that it cannot be tolerated. That we are a diverse profession, and that we are made stronger by our diversity, and that we, as those who have been privileged to the degree that we have, must then again become pioneers one way and push the whole inclusive piece, inclusive meaning, race, color, creed, sexual orientation, political aspiration, whatever. And we have to say, regardless of our diversity, we must champion one another. We must put down this propensity we have for chronic incivility and bullying of each other for whatever reason we come up with. And it's now the time to lock arms and really embrace our interdependence and take this profession to the place on this planet that it needs to be.
Guys, this is Dr. Phyllis Quinlan. If she's not at your conference, if she's not speaking to you, you are missing out. You are taking something away from those clinicians. This discussion could go on forever, but what she does is she provides you a picture and a scope of where we were and where we need to go and how we can get there. It is the biggest privilege of my life to have interviewed you. I thank you for sitting down here out in Seattle, and you're just an inspiration. I'm gonna put the links to all her websites and all her social media so you can learn from her. She puts daily affirmations, correct?
Daily resilience messages out there on Instagram.
You just gotta follow this, okay? I'm giving this gift to all of you. Thank you.